Hello, everybody, and welcome into another Maple Leafs news and rumors here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, joined in by Peter Baracchini after a week off. I had Spencer here last time, but it's still the same stuff happening in Maple Leafs land. How's it going?
Yeah, still the same stuff. Basically, more to talk about considering how poor the season has gone to this point right now. And it seems like there's more off ice talk than there is about the on ice. I know they had a bit of a break in between from Saturday into today, but there's no shortage of speculation and rumors and everything like that. So it's been a wild, crazy few days. I will say that since their loss against the Montreal Canadiens.
For sure. Yeah, they've got a bit of a break here. And of course, when there's a break, there's always talk and speculation and lots of stuff going around. And we'll endeavor to talk about most of it on this video in a short period of time. But I mean, we're going to start with the obvious question is what has gone wrong this season? They sit last in the Atlantic Division, a point behind the Buffalo Sabres. A game under 500 at this point of the season is definitely not where everyone was hoping they would look and how they would be at this point. We were talking in the season preview show. Well, yeah, might win the division again and all that stuff. I mean, lots of time to go. We're at 22-ish games here. It's not like this. I mean, of course, the sky is falling. It doesn't matter when it is in the season. But I mean, what has gone wrong to this point to have them so poorly looking? I mean, so many stats aren't looking good right now, and we can dive into a lot of them. But I mean, what's the main reasons why the season's kind of gone off the rails so far?
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't want to say everything's worst case scenario this early on, but it definitely is worst case scenario for the Maple Leafs. And it was even evident early on in the first 3, 4, 5, 6 games when injuries has been a big issue the last couple of weeks. I mean, you're out Auston Matthews, Matthew Nyes, Anthony Stolarz has been on it. He hasn't been skating. Nicholas Waugh, a multitude of regulars are out. And that's not to say that that's played a factor. It has, but even before when they were 95% healthy with the main roster, things weren't looking good for this team. Both not necessarily offensively, but defensively, they were not great at all. So that's reason number one. And I'm going to try and keep this short because there is a long list of things that is wrong with this team right now. And you don't want to say the sky's falling, but it actually is. And we're getting to American Thanksgiving, where that's kind of like the benchmark of how some of the playoff picture is starting to shape up. Maple Leafs were at least top 2 last year. Way out of that right now. And we all know that there was only one team to come back from that, and that was Craig Berube's St. Louis Blues back in 2018-19, if I recall that was the year. But going back, it's everything has just been off. Goaltending hasn't been great. Anthony Stolarz, we thought he would be healthy coming in, fresh off that, team-friendly contract. He hasn't been making the stops. Joseph Woll has looked really good since coming back, aside from that game against Montreal where he had no help whatsoever. The defense has been bleeding rush chances against, and even their poor positioning in the defensive zone, poor awareness, not quick enough. They're not challenging enough. Transitional play, breakouts leading to their exits has also been a downfall as well. You would think that with the same defensive core where you would think that the Maple Leafs would struggle a little bit offensively. That has not been the case without Mitch Marner, and they're at least getting those goals. But, they're having a hard time breaking out. They're having a hard time defending. And even so, yeah, they're getting contributions from their main guys, but some of their depth guys have not been producing well. The Matias Maccelli experiment looked okay at the beginning, not looking good right now. Dakota Joshua hasn't looked great. Nicholas Waugh hasn't looked great. Even a regular and, veteran in the league, Max Domi, hasn't been great. So it's a lot of players some players or the top players are pulling their weight. A lot of players aren't. And even defensively, the blue line has just been very, very slow. The team overall looks sluggish. They're disconnected. I could throw out many other words and many other reasons, but that is the big reason why they are in this big hole right now. And you don't want to talk about a draft lottery pick right now, but they have a top 5 protected pick and they're in the top 5 right now. So you don't really want to think about that for a team that has playoff aspirations, but it's going bad from bad to worse every single time, and we'll see what time will tell during this road trip, because this is the make it or break it part of their season right now. If they don't come out with a winning record, you're going to look at some tough decisions coming up.
And their road record's horrible. They only have one win on the road so far.
I believe 1-6 so far. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, their home record's the one that's kind of holding them up. So, I mean, it's just not, it's not looking good. -8 goal differential, 82 goals against. I mean, that's not good at all. 74 goals for, decent. Like you said, it's not bad. But when you're giving up that many goals like you said, that many chances, it's, you can blame the goaltending all you want, but when you're giving up that much, I mean, can you really? I mean, they shouldn't have to deal with that, right? So,
and even second most goals against, aside from the 61 that the Edmonton Oilers have allowed, Maple Leafs have allowed 60. They have allowed 160, or they've allowed 193 high danger chances against. Not bad, but still pretty high. And they have allowed 26 high danger goals against. I know they have high danger. The offense kind of outweighs that, but still 26 is still pretty high in terms of those goals against and those chances against within their own, or basically early on this season.
Yeah, it definitely has to change. And it's weird. It's surprising. We talked about it in the last video with Spencer that it's interesting that Craig Berube's teams are usually really good defensively. It's not looking that way so far. And it is very interesting to see a Berube coach team looking that bad defensively. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they can turn that around. Like I say, lots of season to go. But it is tough to come out from a hole like this around American Thanksgiving. Like you say, the benchmark is, if you're not in the playoffs or around the playoffs, you're probably not going to make it. So, and that's historic. It's gone back years and years that's usually the case. So you're going to have to get closer to the playoffs, and they are quite a bit out of it right now.
I was about to say the gap it does seem kind of big, but this whole road trip could change that, and they could easily be in a wild card spot if things go right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're spread. I mean, there's a lot of teams around. I mean, you get on a winning streak, you can jump pretty fast. They're only 5 points out of third in the Atlantic, 6 out of second, and only 7 out of first. So it's like, you can say, the sky's falling, they're last in the Atlantic, but you can get on a roll. I mean, of course, those other teams have to start losing as well. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting for this next road trip. Yeah, it's going to be pretty key. All right. I mean, that was a long thing. That's probably going to be the longest part of this video. Going off of that, we talked about Craig Berube being on the hot seat last video. Let's talk about the GM now. Is he on the hot seat, Brad Treliving? He's very early on, just like Berube is in his tenure. Is there a case to be made that maybe he's out? That'd be the next move?
Yeah, it's easy to point the finger and always, axe the head coach every single time something bad happens. But to me, it's one season removed where Craig Berube had one of the best seasons as a Maple Leaf coach, better than Sheldon Keefe had. And the Maple Leafs went on to the semifinals, lost in heartbreaking fashion again, but still an impressive season overall, regardless. I'd be hard-pressed to say that Berube is the issue, because it kind of does feel like Treliving could be on the hot seat because he did bring in these players. He gave them a chance, and it's just not working well. And it is on Craig Berube to get the most out of his players, to get them motivated, to get them to turn the page. But it's more solely on the players right now, because this is more of a character type of issue than it is with anything else. I mean, the Maple Leafs want to try and bring in those character guys, those guys that lay it out on the line. We're not seeing the guys that were brought in laying it out all on the line right now. And that starts with Brad Treliving. Yeah, there was a possibility that Matias Maccelli could get back to his form 2 seasons ago, but last season wasn't that great. Dakota Joshua, we know he had his health problems. Could he try and bounce back? He is healthier, but he's not being that aggressive type of player that many expected to be. Nick Waugh kind of seems a little bit disjointed along with some other players on the roster right now. So those were key guys coming in that could try and alleviate and help out with the depth, scoring, and depth overall play. And Treliving's guys just haven't cut it out just quite yet. Now, this whole road trip could change everything. But as of right now, those are the guys that Treliving brought in. Craig Berube has to coach them, and he's doing all that he can to try and get the most out of everybody right now. And it's now mostly on the players to try and turn the tide, but mainly Treliving, because now he's got another list of questions with his roster that he has to deal with, where he's got to make a move. He can't do that because he doesn't have the assets, and he's in a really tough spot right now. And it all stems back to last season. Yeah, you probably gave up a lot for Scott Lawton, but Scott Lawton looks like he's starting to turn the page. Brandon Carlo is the one thing that stands out because you gave up a first, you gave up Fraser Minton, you may miss out a lot, and now you're looking to trade him again. So that doesn't seem quite fitting in terms of like those player asset and management right there. So yeah, he's got a lot of work to do right now. And if he can't get out of this or make some sort of improvement to at least make them a little bit more competitive, you have to consider that he could be on the hot seat. I don't know what's going on internally with, the higher ups with Keith Pelly and everything like that. Maybe he starts to give him a little bit more of a chance, but maybe the leash does shorten just a bit.
For sure. And I mean, a lot of the things that they weren't able to get someone to replace Mitch Marner, and that's been a key. I mean, no one has replaced him.
Yeah.
And there's even I think that maybe he was a bigger deal to how Auston Matthews, how successful he was, that he needs a guy like him on his line. I mean, a facilitator like Marner. So, I mean, it's tough to replace a guy like that, but they haven't at all. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what other moves he does make, for sure. But there's not a lot of assets, like you said, to make these big moves. What do you do? I mean, you trade your first rounder. All right. But, I mean, do you want to do that? I don't know. And they don't have high-end prospects. We will talk about one of them that they might do. But it's going to be interesting to see what moves he does make, especially if they keep losing. What that shift will be too, right? I mean, do you go to a point where you're like, okay, where maybe we'll try to get that first overall pick rather than try to push your way to the playoffs? So yeah, that's going to be interesting decisions coming up. All right, well, talk quickly about some speculation. And that one article you put out was on Pavel Mintyukov, who's disgruntled in Anaheim. So, I mean, the Ducks are playing really well, but he's not playing a lot. So, I mean, he might want a different opportunity. What do you think about them potentially acquiring him? He's not going to solve all the problems if he does get acquired, but he is a young defenseman, has a lot of potential in the NHL too.
Yeah, I mean, and you could attest to this too when we were doing a lot of our rankings for the 2022 draft, watching him come through the ranks and him improving his value overall. Raw defender, but the offensive skill set remains, and it still remains to this day with his breakouts, his speed, his playmaking. Again, the production is down compared to his rookie year and even last year. Ice time is down as well, but that's because the Ducks may have found a good combination in terms of their defensive pairings right now. And unfortunately, when you try to take that next step like they have and bring in key roles, and even the signing of Jackson Lacombe is looking pretty good still. I mean, unfortunately, some prospects are going to have to get moved down and possibly moved out. And I can understand why that Mintyukov is a little frustrated with that, because, he's had his opportunities. He did come back and he did have a good showing against the Vegas Golden Knights after his scratch, or when he was previously scratched. So that's a big positive that shows that, you know what, even though I'm not getting the ice time, I'm going to make the most of my opportunity. That's a good sign that you want to see from a 22-year-old. If the Maple Leafs, by some divine miracle that they pull off a trade, whether it's a small one, a big one, or they get in Mintyukov, maybe the price lowers down because he does not necessarily hold all the cards, but he does want to get more ice time. In terms of aspects and qualities, yes, he is a good fit because he's more youthful. He adds more speed. He's successful on the breakouts onto the exits with his passing. I think that's the biggest area of concern with the Maple Leafs. I even added that he did have 18 giveaways, but compared to if he was on the Leafs, he would be outside the top 10. So that's a big plus right there. And the Maple Leafs are prone to a number of giveaways. I feel like he does add a little bit more of that physical element. So something that Treliving could see as a mole, but you have a little bit of a more mobile puck mover, not in the essence of like a Troy Stecher where he gets the puck out quickly, but Mintyukov does have that aspect a little bit. Only downside is he is a left shot. I don't know how the depth is going to play out like that because you already have Morgan Riley. You already have Chris Tanev and Jake McCabe going back and forth when Chris Tanev comes back. OEL is having one of his better seasons. So I think that maybe if you are going to play OEL further up in the lineup, I think he was with Riley at one point and he's on the right side and he's comfortable doing that. Great. And that frees up a left side spot where you could probably play Mintyukov on that second or third pairing as well until Chris Tanev comes back. So there's that option there. But I think it is a good fit based on what they need, and they need to get faster. They need to get quicker on the back end and even younger too, because that is an old defense unit back there. Yeah. Having a little bit of a youthful injection in there is not going to hurt at all.
For sure. I mean, we'll see if the Ducks actually do trade him because I think he's still a big part of that blue line. But like you say, there's a lot of guys that they've kind of fit in, and Jackson Lacombe, I think, maybe threw a bit of a wrench into those because he wasn't really before as a big part of that team. Now he is. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out in Anaheim. And of course, there'll be other teams in the mix as well, and not just the Maple Leafs if they do end up looking at that player. Quickly, I know Jesse put out a couple articles, one recently against targets from the Canucks and the Predators, two very struggling teams. Obviously, they're both around the same spot that the Maple Leafs are in. They're bad. Canucks aren't doing very well. The Predators aren't doing very well. Do you see potential trades happening? And the Canucks Elliot Freeman put out that they're open to hearing offers on veteran players, and that would include forwards and defense. Not Quinn Hughes, and I don't think the Maple Leafs have the assets to get him anyway. But they are in the mix now, apparently, and of course the Predators, they've been in the rumors for a long time. You can throw out a couple targets that you'd be looking at. I know probably one that you have mentioned a few times for the Canucks, but what do you think?
Yeah. It would take a lot to get Quinn Hughes. I mean, I would love it, but it's unrealistic. Like, let's call a spade here. In terms of like other players on the Canucks, like you mentioned, I've been on the Connor Garland train for a long time. Yes, he is on the smaller side, but at least he has that intensity, that drive, that ability to win battles, the ability to crash the net and get in front of into the high danger areas. Those are the kind of players that the Maple Leafs lack a little bit more, especially in the offensive zone, maybe in the depth, further down the depth. Maybe he could be inserted onto the top line, maybe still a second, third line role. I think that's going to be a little bit better for him. Kiefer Sherwood, I think they could use a guy that could score goals and they could use a guy that can hit. I think Dakota Joshua was kind of what they were hoping was going to be that guy. You're not seeing that quite a bit, especially on the physicality side. So if Sherwood's able to bring in the physicality and, that monster of a shot, I think that maybe you got to be cautious about that because I think the Canucks will ask for pretty high value considering that maybe his shooting percentage is maybe not sustainable. So you got to be wary about that. Maybe you could try and lower the price there. I don't know. But that is a very bit of a cautious type of acquisition where you don't want to overpay for Sherwood, but I would love him on the team as well. In terms of like the Predators too, I think a number of guys stand out too. I don't know if you want to try to just go for offense only with Steven Stamkos. The left side kind of still feels like it's already set. It's more the right side that you need a little bit of help on. Maybe you could add Jonathan Marchessault because he could play left or right. I know that Luca Evangelista was a little bit disgruntled heading into the season too. Maybe you could take a younger player out from there because I believe he does still have a little bit I still like his upside overall. Again, production's gone down, but for everyone on the Predators, the production hasn't been there. So maybe if you give him an opportunity, and he is a right wing, so maybe you could get a little bit more offense from him and plug him into that maybe first or second line Who knows? But I feel like those are some of my top players that I would keep in mind. And if the Maple Leafs do that roster for roster player trade, as Friedman has mentioned, you could see a lot of multiple bodies possibly be moved out, and then see who else is available in terms of a call-up, because there's some Marlies that deserve an opportunity up front.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And both these teams, unless the Canucks or Predators, I mean, Predators are a little further down there, turn their season around, and this is going to be there. I mean, there's going to be some speculation and trade rumors around some of these veteran players that they could move out, especially UFAs, pending UFAs like Sherwood. I'm not sure about the guys on term like Garland, because he's just going to get an extension. He signed an extension not that long ago that kicks in next season. The team getting him would have to be okay with that extension as well. And Garland has a no trade now and no move after the extension kicks in. So yeah, there's going to be it's going to be interesting to go for that. Any of the players, it's going to be interesting to see. All right, to finish the video, I know this has come out recently that either Easton Cowan or even Auston Matthews getting traded. Do you see either one? I mean, there's probably more of a chance of Cowan than Matthews, but there's been talk about both of them. What do you see for this for either of these guys?
Yeah, I definitely feel like Easton Cowan would be more of a trade candidate, because teams have already inquired about him about bigger name deals if they were trying to bring in a top 6 forward with term and everything like that in the past. So I think if a player like that comes along, I'm sorry, you're going to have to move on from Cowan, because you need a guy that could play in right now. And I think that top line right wing spot, if that is available, or even just a top 6 scorer is available, you got to consider that. But overall, I do think Easton Cowan does have a lot of upside. His numbers are still pretty decent despite limited action, limited ice time at times, where he's very impactful. And I think he's just scratching the surface right now. But again, if that player does come along, you have to consider moving on from Cowan. In terms of Auston Matthews getting traded, I mean, are you really going to ask your captain to waive his no move clause in the event that, things go south? You could try and salvage something. I don't see that happening. No. I just can't, because of the fact that you handed him the C. He is the leader of this team. He leads them out onto the ice every single night. And I get that the frustration's creeping in for a lot of players right now. But if you trade Auston Matthews, you're signaling a full-on rebuild right now. That, to me, this team is roughly the same team on paper, just minus Mitch Marner. The defense is the same. It's the issues that remain, where I don't know what happened from last season to now. They got to figure it out. Yeah, that's the main thing. And I do feel like, you could get a trade to try and boost them in the right direction. But if you make a significant one that could damage the future, like moving on from Auston Matthews, that to me is a really, really big risk and a big gamble. And you're going to hear a lot of possible backlash from the media, from the fan base, especially, that if you move on from, the guy that's your top goal scorer and maybe top 5 player in the league, still top 5 player possibly. It just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the thing is, of course, it's going to get thrown out there. I mean, it'll be a shakeup. But in the event of it happening, you better get that deal right. I mean, if you do, I mean, you know what? There's just so much moving parts to that. I
unless it's Auston Matthews for Connor McDavid, or Auston Matthews plus for Connor McDavid.
Nathan McKinnon. I mean, I think everyone would be fine with that. But I mean, Avalanche or the Oilers are not doing those deals. That's for sure. But we'll see how it all goes. I mean, it's as the losing keeps going, more of this will keep going. So this is not over. So we'll see. My next video, we'll be talking about it again, I'm sure. So make sure you're checking out everything at thehockeybears.com. We got articles galore about any of this stuff. A lot of the writers have already touched on a lot of this. So make sure you're checking all that out, and check our Substack newsletter. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you're doing that. And of course, all of our other videos on the YouTube channel. But until our next one, we will see you next time.